And thank you for inviting me along to this presentation. So thank you. So Hongkong Land, I'm Paul Onslow, Senior Construction Manager with the company. And today we're going to talk about how we deliver on some quality building facades. I don't think I need to explain who we are. I think you've seen the video. We're property developers across Southeast Asia and mainland China. And basically, nice quotation there, enriching lives through our buildings and services. These are our offices around Southeast Asia. What we'll be looking at today is a couple of projects in Jakarta. This is our central portfolio, the 12 buildings that we mentioned before. The earliest building on the far right by Adis is the Forum, small iconic building. And actually the building on the far left is one of our oldest buildings. It's 56 years old, Princess Building. As a company, we obviously are a big corporate company. We won't be talking about the company, but basically we are the projects department, which covers the construction of new buildings across Southeast Asia. So today, really, what some of the key components of getting these quality building facades are the consultants and the relationships that we have with our consultant teams. So it's a good opportunity today to look at some buildings and thank the consultant team for what they've done. So these are the typical architects that we've used consistently over the past few years and more recently. We'll be looking at projects by Adis, Meinhardt, Inhabit later. So these are our typical consultants, and our consultants are engaged from the beginning from our project team, our project management team, at both a director level and project management team. You'll see as we go through, there's extensive collaboration between our project management team, the architects, and the facade consultants. Basically, this is a typical flow pattern for a consultancy. Hongkong Land tries to work with the architects and the facade engineers during the design stage, at the early stages. So, from concept design, schematic designs, through to design development and tender documentation. Another key component for construction is we've always engaged the consultants all the way through the construction stage. We see so much benefit from the architects and the facade engineer during construction, through tendering, shop drawings, mock-ups, inspections, and post-construction activities. This was a small iconic project in Central. Obviously, the use of BIM now and Revit is just for buildings with this kind of unique design is essential for design, and we obviously take these through all the way through to construction now. So yeah, that was a small iconic building, fully adopting the use of BIM, and it's now becoming more common practice for most buildings. These are our curtain wall consultants, contractors that we've used over the years. We'll be looking at a project by Endilex later. So let's look at these three projects in Jakarta. On the right there, we've got WTC2. Next to that is his big brother, WTC3. And on the far left is Astra, Menara Astra. It's not a Hongkong Land project. I'll explain more later. So the two, WTC2 and 3, very, very successful buildings, both in terms of the architecture and the commercial uptake in terms of the rentals and revenues. So WTC2, completed in 2012, Adis Architects and Meinhardt Facade in Singapore, and the facade contractor was Indelex. I have to say, Jakarta Land is a joint venture between CCM and Hongkong Land, 50-50 joint venture, since about 1972. WTC3, also by Adis Architects and Meinhardt Facade. Obviously, a lot was learned from WTC2, and the same team was rolled out more or less onto WTC3. Again, another very successful building. And then we'll look at Astra Tower, Menara Astra, completed in 2017 by Nick and Seki Architects in Japan and Inhabit Facade in Singapore. Another great project, very high quality facade, and was done by Yuanda. We'll explain more about Hongkong Land's role as we go in. So WTC2, at a kind of things that we work with our consultants, obviously from the design briefs from our project management team, through the design development studies and feasibility, also facade concept analysis and costings, BIM facade analysis and 3D analysis done in different ways, glass selection, visual mock-ups, performance mock-ups, quality control and testing, site supervision, and site inspections and testing. These are all key components that we apply to pretty much all the buildings that we do. So here we have ADIS rendering on the right, and obviously the completed building on the left. I'm sure Kevin will talk about this more later to explain the process that they went through. So here, basically working with the architect and the facade consultant, looking at glass selection. So basically looking at different options of glass types, colors, coatings. Again, this is prepared by the architects, looking at different types of glass for selection between the architects and our project management team. And then also detailed analysis of certain elements of the building, the crowns, the canopies. Again, a lot of time is spent by the architects going through these in detail with our project managers and our senior managers. Here we've got down to the final glass selection, 2 pieces of glass that's selected between the architects and our project management team. And then performance testing, something we do on all our buildings. This is with Windwall, again developed with the architect and facade consultant. This also allows us to look at certain aspects of the detailing and glass selection again. We do see this performance testing as essential to a quality facade. WTC3, the big brother and the podium. Again, a fantastic quality facade. The consultant team did an excellent job on this, fantastic. This is the rendering. I'm sure Kevin will explain a bit more on the process they got to get to the final design. And Kevin will probably talk about this, but basically, obviously the architects talking and presenting lots of options, feasibility studies to our project management team and directors, and also looking at different elements of the facade. This is a process that actually takes a long time to get to the final approved facade. Again, the architects now are focusing on certain elements of the building, louvers, the roof of the building, etc. Fins. Again, essential. Visual mock-ups, so important for a building like this, where the architect has worked with the facade consultant to identify key elements on the facade that we want to look at together with the architects, ourselves, and the facade consultant. Okay, and then again, the performance tests done in Windwall, again, essential to a quality building facade. And then we'll talk a little bit about Menara Astra. This is a project which is basically Astra International, which is part of Jardine Matheson's conglomerate company. So giving our team's experience, our project management team's experience, our director's experience, and our site experience, we were doing peer reviews on behalf of Astra. This was a project by Nick and Seki and Inhabit, and the facade by Yuanda. So on the left, you have the rendering. On the right, on the completed buildings. I mean, here we go. I mean, very much, pretty much as the final renderings. Again, a very high quality facade. And here is just a very simple how we as project managers and construction team will look at the analysis that's been put forward by the architects and the facade consultants. So we do engage in quite a lot of detail with our consultants. Here's a very complex roof structure. Obviously, this is where BIM modeling, etc., really is critical. So this is a very, very complex roof structure. This is the as-built, and I know Inhabit spent a lot of time on this, a lot of modeling and lots of presentations. Again, another, not just BIM modeling, but also creating small three-dimensional models to look at interfaces and detailing. Again, visual mock-ups. This was done on the hoarding, looking at glass selection, looking at fins, looking at signage, looking at lighting. And this was the performance mock-ups, probably the biggest performance mock-up I've ever done in my career. 13 meters high, 8.2 meters wide, with a 4-meter cantilever, very, very complicated cantilever on the building. And basically this was done in the laboratory in China, because it was a very, very complex chamber system for the wing. Inhabit did a fantastic job in putting this together for a performance mock-up. And some of the common quality control measures, glass is very important for us. So we do often quite 100% visual inspections of completed IGUs in the factory. We've used other consultants, which you'll see later, for 100% inspections of glass. So with a full-time inspector stationed in the factory. And we also establish benchmarks and leave them in the factory. Yeah, so curtain wall, our facade consultants, we fully engage them to do factory inspections, site progress inspections, establish benchmarks in the factories, review all the inspection test plans, QA, QC, etc. This is an example from Meinhardt facade and on WTC3. So at site level, as we said, full-time inspector on site, also from the facade consultant, bi-weekly reports, bi-weekly inspections, random water tests, and we'll talk about a little bit more about water testing. So these are key elements that we see in terms of water tests, field testing the building, so chamber testing and static hose testing, two very important standards that we adopt for most of our buildings. It's just some photos of the field testing. And again, just we understand economies of scale, and this is a project we did in Phnom Penh. Obviously, we didn't use a curtain wall system. We just used very simple punched window system. Again, based on the economies of scale and that the curtain wall production in Cambodia is not that strong. So we chose a design that was both cost effective and something that we could manage the quality much better. And another small building completed last year in Cambodia, Phnom Penh. Again, just using very simple punch windows, but we apply the same principles in terms of all the processes we go through in terms of design, quality control, etc. And then just the challenges ahead for everyone, not just for us as developers, but also for consultants and contractors. So obviously environment, Green Building Award and design features. Climate change is obviously a big issue at the moment, which is in sync with sustainability and reducing carbon and embodied carbon content. The use of prefab finished volumetric construction, obviously that's something that we're looking at for the future, looking ahead. Innovation, smart buildings, efficient facade designs, and obviously now with the post-COVID pandemic, looking at seamless integration from drop-off of an office tower to arriving at your desk without touching any elements of the building. And also, obviously, this is something, there are other issues like natural ventilation, etc., that we need to start to consider. And that's it really. So thank you for your time.